Achilles Skordas joins me now. He's a professor of international law at the University of Bristol in the UK. Professor Skordas, thank you for joining us today. So the EU Commission is presenting options for the asylum system, but why so late in the crisis?
Well, you know that the decision-making is slow in the Union. We have gone through a very complicated crisis the last year until now. So we also had this divide between the Western and the Eastern members of the Union. So the Commission needed its time to create a proposal that would be capable of establishing a consensus among the member states.
Now, what's likely to be discussed then today, Professor?
Well, we'll have to wait for the announcement. We expect that the Commission will propose some changes in the Dublin system and in the overall asylum system of the Union. How far the proposals will go, we do not know. What we know is that it will the proposal will possibly include a system for relocation of asylum seekers across the Union. That is, the member state of first entry will not be exclusively responsible for examining these applications, but there will be a quota system and the applicants will be distributed across the member states.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Professor, the EU likes to move slowly, or not likes to, but does move slowly. If they do make these changes and accept these changes, they'll take years to come into effect, won't they?
I don't think so. If there is a consensus among the member states and if there is no further complicated negotiations, the system can be changed quite rapidly. And of course, it will be a permanent system. That is, it will be also for future crises, so that everybody knows well what are the rights and what are the obligations of member states and what the refugees have to expect. So I'm confident that if there is a consensus, then the system will be easy, and will not be easy, will be implemented within a reasonable time.
Professor Skordas, just finally then, as an expert in international law, what's your reading of the deal that's been struck between Turkey and the European Union? There have been some groups, namely the UN, who are questioning the legality of the process.
Yes, you're right. My opinion is that this deal can be legal. It depends on the way it will be implemented. But as a matter of fact, I think that there are sufficient guarantees for the refugees. Turkey has promised and has bound itself to offer protection in accordance with the Geneva Convention. It depends on how the Greek and the Turkish authority will implement the agreement. The Greek authorities must examine asylum applications, even through the accelerated procedure, but according to the European Union law, according to the European Procedures Directive, Turkey should apply the rules of the Geneva Convention. I think that the deal will change something fundamental, not only in the relationship between the European Union and Turkey, but it can be a good example for future international practice if implemented correctly.
Okay, Professor Achilles Skordas, really good to speak to you. We have to leave it there, but thanks for joining us on TRT World.